Get strong.
Hi friends, my name is Edmund. This is our first video from the Career TV. We have with us an amazing personality in the person of Dr. Adetunji. He's a postdoctoral fellow. I say he's a research scientist. He disagrees with me, but anyway, let's take it like that. But we're going to talk to him. We're going to learn about his experiences, some of the challenges he faced in his life, what he's doing today, and how he can motivate some of you out there. Dr. Tunji, you are welcome to Career TV.
Thank you for having me.
Can you introduce yourself to our viewers out there, what you're doing today, how your career started, and then recently you had this groundbreaking research. You want to tell our viewers something?
Yeah, sure. My name is Adetunji Fayomi. My journey started from Lagos, Nigeria, in West Africa. I grew up as a street boy, went to school like normal people. I've always been so curious in things that I do. I just want to learn, want to know more.
So at what age did you finish your senior high school?
I finished at 17.
So here in the United States, the high schooler is thinking about SAT.
Right.
Did you have that in mind at the time?
Not precisely SAT,
Okay.
I was looking, towards actually passing my school SAT exam.
Okay.
Because for me, that is going to be the door to
Okay.
the next phase of my life.
So, in my research about you, I know that you are a veterinary doctor.
Okay.
So how did you make that decision? Was that family influence, or it was just solely you making a decision that you want to be a veterinary doctor, and so you move forward? So what is the history around that, and what is the motivation for that?
Well, that's a beautiful question. In life, sometimes you are led not just by motivation.
Okay.
I'm a spiritual being,
Right.
by God's grace. I'm a Christian. I believe in the Holy Spirit. It does play a critical role in that decision, actually.
Yeah.
So I actually took steps to become an engineer.
Right.
So I did not just want to, I wanted to become a computer engineer. I tried. I was unsuccessful initially. Then I did electrical electronics engineering.
Oh wow! My first degree was in electrical electronic engineering. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yes, so I did electrical electronics engineering, but one day I had a revelation, basically. So I saw myself in a lab coat, and the Holy Spirit ministered to me.
Oh, wow.
So the back end story behind this is that while I was in secondary school, I've always loved maths and biology at equal proportion. So when my biology teacher had that I went for engineering, she was angry, because I had like the highest grade you can have in biology, graduating, like the highest grade you can. And she was like, who would advise this young man to go for engineering? Right. So long story short is that I wanted to do medicine. I applied to medical school. I was not successful. So I had the option to then proceed with veterinary medicine instead of, human medicine. Okay. And I was like, what? Why not? What's the difference?
And the interesting part is this. So you didn't end there, right?
Nah.
Now you took upon yourself to do a Ph.D. And how are they related? So I know your Ph.D. is in molecular genetics and developmental biology. Am I right?
That's right.
That's right. And so how are they linked?
They're linked. There's something in between them.
Okay.
So what's in between them is what's called veterinary reproduction,
Okay.
or theriogenealogy.
Okay.
So I did not just finish as a veterinarian, became a veterinary doctor.
Okay.
So at that time, I was really interested in animal protein, in how all these animals, we can help them to give birth to another animal, and so we can have enough animals to feed our country in
Right.
animal protein.
Okay.
Then as I was focusing on that, so I kind of specialized. After my first degree, I specialized in veterinary reproduction.
Okay.
So now I became a specialist at understanding how animals give birth, how they conceive, their fertility, and all of other things. So that aspect of my life opens my eyes to research.
Right.
So I was not just my eyes was not just open to research in the animal world, but my eyes was also opened to research in the human world and how it's actually done in the United States.
So how did mentorship, in the early stages of your thinking, veterinary doctor, and even I'm sure you started having that conversation or thinking about, I want to do a Ph.D. Did mentorship play a role in that whole process?
I would say yes and no. I do have a mentor when I was in veterinary school he would always tell me that, look, whatever you want to do, feel free to do it. Okay. So my mentor, even when I was doing my second degree, specializing in animal reproduction, he doesn't believe that you should limit yourself. Okay. But he was aware of the limitation in our society. Okay. But he was not going to impose that limitation on me. Okay. So one of the things I decided to do when I was doing that training was that I said, look, I'm not just going to do the type of research that is limited to what is permissible or possible here in Nigeria, back in Africa. Okay. So I said, look, I am going to explore potentially researches that is possible outside Nigeria. Okay, so you are thinking not just what is local, but you're thinking global. Absolutely. And I remember that when I spoke to few other professors, I was like, hey, I'm thinking about this project, and they were like, no, forget it. That's not possible in Nigeria. Forget it. You can't do that project in Nigeria. Oh, wow. And of course, I was trained in Nigeria. I grew up in Nigeria. But I just felt, no, I just don't have to do this. Anything you want to do, and I'm sure folks out there can bear me witness, that anything you want to do, there's somebody out there who will just say, no, it's not going to work. So I'm sure you've come across people like that. How do you go past? By now, it's obvious to you that I don't focus on my limitations. That's right. So the secret is looking inward. There's always going to be obstacles, but how powerful are those obstacles? Yeah. You have to be driven by your focus on your destination. Yeah. By the focus on what you want to do. Right. I was strategic in my decision because in my imagination, I was thinking, if ultimately I'll find my way outside the shores of this country, right. I don't want to do a type of research that cannot translate, that I cannot use as a bridge into the Western world. Yeah. So one of the things I did then was that I basically looked for money. I bought reagents from the United States. Oh, wow. Yes, and I basically bought reagents, samples that I needed from the United States, and took it back to Nigeria, did my research over there. Wow. I mean, this is amazing. This is somebody who is so much focused on what he wants to do, the kind of research he wants to do. He spent the time and money, get reagents and the materials he needs to do the research, right. Take it to Nigeria, and embark on that research. That's amazing. That brings me to my the groundbreaking research. I think everybody in Pittsburgh, I'm sure, learned about that. Tell us a little bit about that. Yeah, let's talk about that research. Yeah. Okay. So this is one of the researches I did here in the United States. It was one of my researches during my Ph.D. in molecular genetics and developmental biology. My core competency was reproductive biology. Right. So if you take reproductive biology, now it makes sense because of my background in veterinary reproduction. Yeah. And so this research is about what hope do prepubertal boys who are diagnosed with cancer and they will be treated with chemotherapy. And that treatment will lead to infertility. What hope do they have? Okay. So if you're an adult guy, you can take your sperm cells, you can cryopreserve them, and hopefully at some point we can take those sperm cells and use them for IVF. Wow. But if you're a prepubertal boys, you are not making sperm cells yet, and now we're going to treat you with chemo, and that can lead to infertility. What hope do they have? So we hypothesized that yes, the testes of these boys actually have spermatogonial stem cells in them. So they are the stem cells are the foundational cells that eventually give rise to sperm cells. So we hypothesized that look, potentially, if we can get this foundational cell, okay, we can take this foundational cell, keep them, and at some point, anyhow, maybe eventually we can use this foundational cell to make sperm cell, and ultimately those guys will not be infertile, because once we have their sperm cell, they can, maybe through IVF or some other method, they can have their babies.
Wow.
So what we did in this experiment is that, we cannot do this in humans for ethical reasons, okay? So we did this in another non-human primate, which are monkeys. So what we did was to take the testes of this prepubertal monkey. We basically took all the testes. So basically, they had no testes. And so, don't forget, they have the foundational cell, which are like stem cells. Right. So we basically cut it into the pieces. And we said, look, we don't want just to put these little testes or small testes back into the scrotum. We'll just put them under the skin in the back, and we'll just put them under the skin around the scrotum. So we basically put them under the skin. So what happened is, was after a few months, we saw that the testes under the skin on the back began to grow. Right. Grow. Then when we removed these testes, we had a lot of sperm cells, basically. So we did not make sperm cells in the scrotum, we make sperm cells on the back of the skin.
That was an amazing part. I was like, oh wow, this is just groundbreaking. So I know there is a lot of detail that you want to give us, but I'm particularly interested in the mentorship part, so that somebody out there who feel motivated, because the career platform is the essence of the platform is to motivate somebody out there. Okay, so were you married in this whole process, the time that you're doing a PhD, you're married, right?
Absolutely.
You had kids, right?
Yeah, I have 2 kids.
2 kids. So how do you juggle this level of extensive research you're doing with family, with kids?
The first skill or virtue everyone needs in life to succeed is focus.
That's right.
We need to focus on our targets and our destinations, and from there we break it down into bigger goals. Then we break bigger goals into smaller goals. Okay. And the way we achieve our target is to focus on smaller goals, one at a time.
Wow.
One at a time. One at a time. Okay. One at a time. One at a time. And then you have this chunk bigger goals finished. Okay. You get another chunk of bigger goals finished, and that's the way it is. So for me, it's about focusing on what's the right thing to do here. What's the next thing to do? And these things are not without hurdles. I'll be honest with you, it's not like, oh, easy. But everything is possible if one is not distracted. That's right. And I don't think I'm a superhuman or somebody special. But it's just, I thank God for God's mercy. But you just need to focus one at a time, one at a time, focus. When the word of the Lord says all things are possible to him that believe, it's possible. Believing that you will get there keeps you focused.
Exactly. So it seems to me that you had exactly what you wanted to achieve. Like again, you were able to break it down into little tidbits of focus, and you focused on them one at a time.
Right.
The question to you really is that, where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years?
All right.
And how do you use that 5 to 10 years to motivate somebody out there?
So everything I've done built into the next 5 to 10 years.
Wow.
That's the way I see my life, which is that this year cannot be lived in isolation. Whatever I do this year builds into what happens next year. All right. So after my PhD, being a scientist, I've also taken additional trainings in business.
Business. Oh,
yes.
Wow. So now, veterinary doctor, Ph.D. in molecular genetics and developmental biology.
Yeah.
Now you have what? Is it an MBA?
I have an MBA.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Are you thinking business? Opening your own business, your own research institute?
It's part of it, right?
Part of it, okay.
So the way you bring all these things together, it's not just for you to be able to just work as a scientist. It's also for you to mentor other scientists, and ultimately to show people how to go from their ideas into something that can bring in some money into their pockets.
Right.
That's really important. So for me, it's really, really important. I've seen how it's not just enough for you to be motivated. It's not just enough for you to say, this is my goal. This is what I want to do.
I get a sense of it's not enough means that you need to be very intentional about your motivation.
Absolutely.
So it's not just about having a focus, but you are also very, very intentional about exactly what you want to do.
That's very
And I also get a sense that though you were more science you can also transition to learn something else that
Anything.
helps you
Absolutely.
to build into the future.
It's a big mistake if anybody ever if you ever feel you are fine.
Wow.
At any point that you ever get comfortable, either
Exactly.
at learning
Exactly.
or at pushing yourself
Exactly.
to go get the next thing, is a dangerous phase.
I know there's somebody out there confronted with the difficulty or the challenge of making a decision. Let's say, what is the next stage?
Right.
What is the next level? What do you tell that person?
I'm going to tell you that you should look inward. There's always noise around. Look inward. Who are you? I discovered that I am a naturally curious person.
Right.
So that means that I want to find out why. I want to know a little more. I want to solve problems, basically. And so it made sense to me to follow the path of being a veterinarian or a clinician and then a scientist, because while doing those things, thinking through this lot of problems and hypotheses, I enjoy it because I just enjoy trying to figure things out. Look inward. You don't have to do what people want you to do,
Right.
but you have to figure out what you enjoy doing.
Okay.
And when I say what you enjoy doing, I also know that there's this temptation of being like, oh, I enjoy sleeping. Okay, that's not in the context. We're not saying in the context of, oh, I'm not going to give myself a lot of trouble. No.
Right.
It is you saying, look, what challenge do I want to pick up in life?
Right.
Not that somebody is asking me to pick up. And then asking yourself, that's where I'm going. What are the bigger goals? Okay, set the bigger goals. What are the smaller goals?
Incremental goals that you can...
Yeah, small goals every day. After I left secondary school, I didn't get to the university on time. I was at home for 3-4 years, you know. While I was doing those times, I was studying for 8 hours a day. I knew that the way I could get to the next phase was to study 8 hours a day.
Wow. And then you were working.
Yeah, I was working
and then
after 2
studying
p.m.
8 hours.
After 2 p.m., I would go out, I would do private teaching. I was teaching around in the evening,
Wow.
you know.
Wow.
I was making some money in the evening, wake up in the morning, study hard in the morning, you know, because I had to write a big exam. And then, you know.
This is amazing. I mean, with your experience, this is what somebody out there needs. There are a lot of hindrances, there are a lot of challenges that came his way, but you can see that he was able to work all those challenges gradually. I'm sure there is something, a natural move or natural way that he moved things around, but I'm sure you're also there, maybe in the same shoes as he was several years ago. Listen to yourself, look at what you are passionate about, focus on it, like he said, get some incremental goals, you know, set one goal at a time, follow it, make it happen, and take the next step. This is Career Platform. We bring to you interviews from people that under normal circumstances you will not be able to meet. So make sure you subscribe, and then we're going to bring the next video to you, and I'm sure you'll be motivated. And thank you, Mr. Fayomi, for this wonderful time with you.
It's my pleasure.